welcome again to the channel. Today we're back with a daily race C at Suzuka, driving the GR.2, the Group 2 Super GT cars. You see there, starting from pole position. Obviously I did that very nice lap in the qualifying session to get myself in the top 10 stars, and starting from pole position in this race got P2. Bears also was in the top 10 stars, I think, for most of the day. I'm not too sure if he ended there by the end of the session, obviously when it changes to a different track. We're going to go through to the replay camera. Bears in P2 was actually starting from with the racing medium tyres on, so he was going to be very fast in these first few laps, although I think it was a bad move, because to be really honest, I don't think them racing medium tyres will last. They do 2.5 laps reasonably well, 3 laps okay, and then after lap 3 they start to die off pretty much, and I think it was a bad strategy call to go on the racing medium tyres. But I was pretty confident with him behind me, because I know that even before, when I was in the cockpit view, I was able to pretty much beat him in this track and this combination. But now with myself racing from this new view, driving on the bumper cam, I am finding that I've got a lot more speed. So you can see there, he's obviously got a lot more grip on this opening lap. All I've got to do is try and defend him a little bit on this opening lap when he's got that extra grip them tyres will provide him. And then once obviously I've defended him from the first lap or so, it's just going to get easier and easier, and he's not going to, his grip will fade, mine will stay pretty much equal all the way through. So that's the main aim, is just to keep it consistent for this opening lap or so. You can see there, driving reasonably well. One issue I had was obviously I'd only been driving, doing the qualifying with the racing medium tyres, and this was my first race. I jumped on, no practice at all, and obviously with the racing hard tyres, some of the braking distances were a little bit short, longer obviously, and the apex speeds are different, not as much grip. So it took me a few laps to start getting into the rhythm of obviously braking that little bit earlier, and then being a little bit more cautious on these racing hard tyres. But it's a track that I've driven quite a few times before, so I was fairly confident that it wouldn't take me long to get used to these tyres again, obviously. And the added bonus is now I'm driving the view on the bumper, it's so much easier to get into the rhythm of the track. I'm finding, you can see there, braking very late into this corner, and just about managing to make the apex. It really took quite a lot of speed through that chicane, and you can see there, Bears in P2 actually struggled with the traction, whereas I managed to pull away a bit and really hooked that corner up. I braked very deep into that. It was probably the only time I did in the first 4 or 5 laps. I was really struggling with that corner, hitting the braking spot, because with the racing medium tyres we were able to brake quite a big distance later than with the racing hard tyres. And you can see I actually braked close to the distance that I would with the racing mediums, but somehow managed to make the apex. And now, one thing that I've noticed since using this bumper camera is the rotation on the car. It's one thing that I would, if you go back to some of my previous videos, I always mentioned about the way I couldn't rotate this car through these corners, and now I've just got so much rotation. You can visually see it looking at my car, how much more ability I've got to throw it into these corners, and it just feels so much nicer to drive now. I really feel like I can get on it with the pace a lot more, and start really putting some good lap times in. Obviously I didn't expect too much in this race from the opening first few laps, but you can see there, that sector split is a reasonably okay sector split there, going through there. That sector split should be good enough for a 1:49, which I've always struggled to get in on this track and this combination. But obviously I've still got to do a bit of short shifting. You can see there, shifting a little bit short doesn't really affect too much of the performance, but I had to do a little bit while trying to rev it quite hard, because I was trying to get out of Bears' slipstream, because he was going to have an advantage on the corner exits at this point. Lap 2, his tyres are still in very good condition. You can visually see it there. He gained so much speed on that fast corner, and now he's in the slipstream. He's going to gain more time all the way down the straight. But at this point I managed to hold him off, and he's not really putting me under much pressure, considering he's got them faster tyres on. As I go through that sector in the purple sector, and then going into this corner, I think I brake a little bit too late. Let's have a little look. I braked just before I actually got that left-hand tyre on the grass, which probably affected the braking, but somehow managed to get through the corner without losing too much time. I probably lost about 3-4 attempts there, maybe a little bit more, because I really did brake a bit too late, and go over the line on 1:50.3. I think that lap was heading for a 49, which would have been my first ever full 1:49, but that was lap 1, your first ever proper flying lap with these tyres on in race conditions, because I've been doing the qualifying, so I didn't really expect to be that as fast as it was straight away, to be fair. And it just shows instantly what this view is doing for me, and how much of an advantage it is for myself now. And I really feel like, especially this first sector at Suzuka, where it's all about rotation of the car and swinging it from one side of the track to the other side, this is where it's helping me out. I've held off someone with racing medium tyres for the first 2 laps comfortably. I've not really struggled with it. he was able to stay with me before when I was on cockpit view when we both had the same tyres, and it just shows you the massive difference. If you have a little look at the way I'm hooking up the corners now, watch how close I'm getting to pretty much every apex. It's just such a good feeling to be. It's actually made me feel a lot happier about the game, and the fact that also we've got the new patch coming tomorrow, which hopefully is going to fix the penalty system. I feel like everything's coming at once with this game. It could really be coming a game that everyone's going to be getting back on, and I'm really looking forward to it, because I think it does deserve to have a lot more people on the game. Even though it's probably got one of the highest counts for racing games, for people playing, I think that a lot of people are going to get back into this now with that patch. If it does do what it says, I'm going to test it out, hopefully give a judgment on it after quite a few races. I don't want to do what a lot of people will do and just do one race and say it's been repaired, because that's not how a penalty system works. And then, I want to make sure that it's completely, to a point where it might not be 100% perfect, but as long as it's just that much, a little bit better, that you don't start getting annoyed and frustrated, because the worst thing you can do is feel like something's not your own fault. Hopefully they'll fix it. As you see, going over the line, you can see there I actually gained nearly 4 tenths from the delta from that last sector split to the one before it, because I got the last chicane a little bit better. So you can see how much I lost on that first lap. It would have probably comfortably have just squeezed into a 49, but again a 1 minute 50.3, which again isn't a bad lap. I think the previous best lap I've ever done at this track was like a 50.0, and I kept doing it, and I knew I could get into the 1 minute 49s, but I just wasn't able to hook up the lap when I was using the cockpit camera. But you can see now, having a look there, you can visually see how much more of the track I'm able to use, because I'm able to swing in and I'm able to see a higher field of view, so I'm able to pretty much hook up every corner and really attack the track a lot more, and it's just so much more enjoyable. You can see Burrs has actually lost P2 there in the distance. You see him really struggling with them tyres. Such a poor, it was a really bad decision to go on them racing medium tyres. This is why I don't think it was an actual thing they've done deliberate, because like a lot of people have said, there's no way the racing medium tyres could be used in this race. All it would do is lose you too much time. There was no real advantage to using them. I don't really see how you could do it. The only thing you could do possibly would have been to save enough fuel to get to like 7 laps on the racing hard, then put the racing medium tyres on, but then you're going to lose that much time doing that. I don't even think that would work even at all. You'd still lose quite a lot of time. But you can see they're riding back on board, going through the sector split. This lap has been a little bit scruffy, not really hooked up. You can see I've had to start doing a lot of fuel saving now, because obviously I wanted to push in them first few laps to try and defend against Bears. I didn't want him getting past me and then him struggling on the tyres, so I used up a fair bit of fuel. I wasn't short shifting too much, but now I've got to really concentrate on the short shifting, because I know that this guy behind me, the gym guy behind me, was behind Bears and was probably in the slipstream just saving a lot of fuel. So what I need to do now at this stage is bring that fuel back in line and get myself to a position that when I pit, he's not going to be able to jump me. So that's what I was trying to do at this stage. You can see really short shifting there, short shifting to save that fuel, make sure they get through to the pits. And you see through this section, I'm able to actually gain on a lot of people now through this section. This was a section that I really did struggle on before. I tended to lose a little bit of time to some drivers, but now I feel like I can really rotate the car and get on the power that much earlier. It all feels like, it feels like when I was in the cockpit view, I used to think to myself, how are they doing that? It just doesn't feel like I could do that in the cockpit view. I probably could have done, but I think it's a lot harder to do. I think from this view you can just hook up the corners, pretty much hitting every apex where I wanted to hit it. It's just such a nice feeling to be able to do this. I think the great thing about this as well is this is the first daily race I've done for a while, purely because I'm just able to get up to speed so much faster. I don't feel the need to practice as much for the FIA races now, because I jumped on last night, I got myself into the top 10 for the Nations race, without even pushing the lap too much. I actually felt like I could get pretty close to the top time if I was to push it, but obviously there's no real reward for getting the top time in the FIA races in terms of practice. The leaderboard, they're just there for show really. Real thing comes in qualifying. So I may do that Nations race if I have time. Obviously I'll be doing the FIA race as well. As you see, going defensive now just before the pits. I didn't want him getting in the pits before me, so just placed my car pretty much in the middle of the track so that he had no opportunity to get past. That was the best way to defend there. Going into the final corner, making sure that I didn't brake late. It was really important that I didn't brake too late into that corner and let him get past me and make a mistake. So entering the pits, let's have a little look at the fuels. differences between ourselves, as I go in the pits with 15 and he goes in the pits with 12 or 13. So I actually managed to get that fuel a little bit higher, 3% more, and that's quite important in these races. You know, 3% might not sound like much, but it could be half a second as we're changing the tyres and then putting the fuel in. And let's have a little look when I come out the pits what the gap is. It should be pretty similar, maybe around 9/10 of a second, something like that by the time I come out the pits. I'm not too sure. Let's have a little look. I think we're going to go straight through to the replay camera as I come out the pits, and you can see P2 there coming out the pits, and yeah, it's around just under half a second, maybe about 7/10 of a second. So he's still in that slipstream, unfortunately. Maybe he short fueled a little bit. I just tried to pretty much fuel up to race the same as I did in the first stint, because I knew to jump me he'd have to under fuel so much, and to save a lot of fuel with these cars is actually quite hard. You can save a bit, but you can't save massive amounts with these cars. They're quite tricky to get too much fuel saving done with them. You will save like 10%, 12%, but you know, it's not a massive amount, not like the Group 4 cars where you can save, you know, huge amounts. But now looking at this race, you can see trying to push on this outlap. I wanted to really drive this aggressive. Now I've got the fresh tyres on. I've started to get used to the track, obviously, with these racing hard tyres on now. Now I wanted to see, can I get into them 1:49? So this outlap was about pushing hard and trying to get into the rhythm to push for a reasonable, good, you know, a good lap time to see if I can get, you know, a 1:49. I've never really done it. I knew that if I could get in the 49s, it's going to prove a point to myself that this is definitely faster and more consistent to drive, because I've never done it before, and it's always been my aim, because I've seen drivers hitting 48.9s, 49.2s. I've never really done it, and this was obviously my first race. I didn't really expect to do it in this race. I thought I would have to go back on and race another race to do it, but let's have a little watch as we see going on our outlap, getting very close again down that straight. The slipstream that people were getting off myself down that straight was huge. This guy behind me was picking up so much time. Through the corners I was gaining quite a nice gap. I was getting the gap up to like 6, 7, 8 tenths, but then as soon as we get through to the straights, he was just gaining so much time on me, and it was just all pretty much losing all that hard work through the corners. Again, he's in that slipstream. Let's have a little look on board. You can see him getting closer, 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 but he's not going to be able to get close enough to actually make a move into this corner. You can see there, not able to make a move. Now this is where I want to start putting in some good lap times. I wanted to try and get myself into the 49s. You can see the guy behind me just got into the 49s on the first stint. I think that was when lap 2, when I should have really been hitting a very similar time to that. He obviously had a slipstream. I didn't have any slipstream to work with. It is worth quite a bit of this track when you're in someone's slipstream. You know, that back straight, you can gain 3-4 tenths just from the slipstream. As I go through that first sector split purple and really hooking the car up, you can see that how I'm using so much more of the track, the width of the track. I'm able to get the left hand tyre right close to the grass and really hook the apexes up. You can visually see every apex is getting hooked up. I'm using pretty much every bit of track that you can get away with whilst keeping it really smooth. And going through that second split again, another purple sector, and this lap so far is looking reasonably good. It's driving well, hooking it up. You can see I was pulling the gap away, but then as soon as he then starts to pick the slipstream up, you can have a look at the delta in the top left, it starts coming back to him. So I'm really helping dragging him along at this point. You know, through the corners I was faster, but then getting to the straights, he gets in that slipstream and he starts gaining a bit. As again, you can see was down to 3 tenths, get it up to 4 tenths now. Coming out the corner on the power really early, I really hooked that corner up, and then again starting to pick that slipstream up, and then watch it come back down. He's getting closer, closer, closer. Not really much I can do, so I'm just trying to push as hard as I can, because the harder I push whilst keeping it smooth, as again another purple, go through that sector purple, the harder I push and keep it smooth, he's going to struggle to really stay with me, because I felt like he was really overdriving that car through some of the corners. As you can see again through that corner, really hooked that up again, stayed over to the right to try and avoid him picking up the slipstream, and got the gap right up, go over the line on a 1:49.5. That there straight away is a proof to me that's all I needed there, and it's such a nice feeling to do that. It's took me a while. I've never really done it, and I feel like now if I redid this race, if I would have done a second race, I felt like I could have pretty much lapped the majority of laps in the 1:49s, because I was really starting to get in the rhythm with it. I was starting to feel like I could hook these corners up and carry the speed in, even with these racing hard tyres. It just felt so nice to drive. Really able to stay close to the apex and then swing it into this corner, which gave you so much time if you can stay on the power all the way around that corner. You can see again the delta increasing through the this section where it's all about handling, managing to pull away, really attacking that corner down into third gear, attack the apex again on the power very early, really key to get on that power early, and again going through that sector nearly over a tenth up, and it shows you that I definitely have the ability to get into a very low 1:49. It's just about getting more used to it and then hooking it up. You know, considering this is just I think this is my second day, this was yesterday, of using the bumper view, I'm sure I'll just keep getting faster and more consistent, and hopefully I can start challenging a little bit more to the likes of Zocchi and stuff. I don't think I'm going to be at Lightning's pace, because Lightning is just on another level, but I think Zocchi's very close to Lightning. But I think I would be really happy with just being a few temps off Zocchi, to be brutally honest, because he's an amazing driver, and I think I'm going to be able to compete with a lot of other drivers and actually beat a lot of other drivers that I was, you know, a little bit behind now. As you can see, going through that sector over a 10th up, but then going into the braking, I think I braked a little bit too late. You can see me struggling to hit that apex, and then not really hooking the entry into that corner, and then I had to be a bit patient before getting on the power. Really didn't get the exit speed that I've got previously. However, going over the line again, it's a little bit faster, not as fast as it could have been. It could have been down to a low 49.4, but unfortunately the guy behind me takes the fastest lap purely because of the slipstream he was getting off myself down that back straight. If you had a little look on the delta, you would have seen he gained about 3 tenths on me just on the one straight, so it shows you how strong that slipstream is. But then again, going through the corners, really attacking these corners, because I wanted to make him, you know, overdrive that car. I wanted to pull away again in the corners, because if I can keep doing this as we run aboard now with P2, you're going to see the rotation that, even though the tyres have worn out at this stage, they're starting to wear out a bit. Look at the difference in rotation that I'm getting, and look at the usage of the track. I'm using so much more of the track than I used to be able to, probably because I can actually visually see the track a lot better now. And going through the corners again, starting to build that lead up, pulling away, and this is the best defense mechanism I could do, because I couldn't defend against that slipstream. What I had to do was try and pull away in the corners, so that when we come to the straights, he's not able to get close enough when we get to the braking zone to throw it up the inside. And to be fair, this guy was driving very well, and he wasn't aggressive. Yeah, when he was behind me going into turn 1, he didn't just throw one up the inside. He was very patient. He knew when he could make a move, and he knew when not to. And that's the type of driver that you feel a little bit more comfortable with behind you, because you know they're not going to make some daft move to ruin everyone's race. They're going to take their time, they're going to be patient. And again, look at the power, getting on the power, managing to pull away, but then watch the slipstream kick in. As we go down the straight, you can visually see how he starts gaining. Then we look on board with it, go onto the TV replay camera, and you can see he's pulling closer, but again, he's not able to get close enough to make a move there, and then carrying the speed through the 130R, and then he has a little look, but he realises he cannot make that move there. And that's what I like about this driver behind me. He's not making silly moves, he's not making daft decisions, and P3 really struggling to stay with this pace. You can see in the distance there, he's struggling to stay with the pace that we're doing now. So I go to the right to go defensive, and then swing back over to the left, because I'm trying to break that slipstream. I wanted to try and lose it, because I knew if he got too close down this first corner, he might make a move if he was a little bit closer to the rear, but he's not able to do it, and I managed to hold on to this lead now. Going through the first sector again trying to push really hard, and he had a little moment there. I think P2 had a moment coming out of the turn 1, and again losing a little bit of time as we go through this first sector, as I really try and attack them apexes and carry the speed through there to avoid him being able to make a move when we come to the straights. And you can see visually that again the gap's increased, and he's struggling to stay with me through the handling section. And this is why I'm able to keep the lead, because I'm able to carry the speed now through the corners. I think if I was in cockpit view now, I think I would have been overtaken, you know, easily by this guy. I don't think I would have even got P2, and then P2 there, I mean P3 would have probably beat me as well. As you can see, P2 actually made an error going through that corner, overdriving the car, and actually hit the barrier where he's tried to really get on the power. And this is the final lap, and it's really given me a little bit of a comfort barrier now, so I could back off, start doing a bit of short shifting, you know, just to make sure I get to the finishing line. Not got too much fuel left. We're on the final lap. You can see the lap 9 with the tyres wearing off, when I was still having to be a bit defensive and worrying about that guy behind me. Still a 50.1, even though I didn't really hook the lap up quite as well as the previous lap. So again, that really should have been in the 49s, but I was just happy to get 2 laps in a row on a 49.5. It shows the progress that I've made, and mainly because of the view I've changed. I don't think it's me driving better, I just think it's the view, the advantages of the view that it gives you. You see there, going into the final corner now, putting it to fuel mixture free, because I've got a comfortable lead, 2 seconds lead. There's no point risk running out of fuel as I go over the line, and then putting the power down, and the checker flags out, and I take a really nice win. I really enjoyed that win, because I was 8 seconds behind what Zed Kip did, and he's one of the fastest at this track and combination. But I think there's probably 3 or 4 seconds for me to gain there. So if I can get to a point where I'm just 2-3 seconds behind him on this combination, I'd be really happy with that, because that is real big progress considering I was about 14 seconds behind him in the previous race I did. So that race there was actually 6 seconds faster than my previous race that I did when I raced it. So it just shows you over half a second a lap is really important. You know, nearly 6/10 a lap. That's a big difference that view is helping me out with, and I'm really looking forward to racing more and more races. I just want to race all the time now because of this view. I feel like I'm going to be a lot more competitive, and hopefully I'll have another video up tomorrow. The Bathurst race that I was talking about, I didn't want to upload that one today purely because I uploaded the FIA race at Bathurst. So the daily race that was on at Bathurst, I've got 2 of them that I'll probably upload and do a double upload video, so 2 races in one that will come out tomorrow, and then the FIA race. Hopefully both of them will get done. I really want to do the nations as well as the manufacturers, and hopefully I can get one out on Thursday and the other one out on Friday. Hope you enjoyed that video. I thoroughly enjoyed racing in that, and it was a really nice feeling to be able to really push the cars and get the rotation into them corners. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Like I said, I do upload every single day on GT Sport, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again for watching, everyone.